Welcome to episode number 11. On today's show, we talk about how brand loyalty runs deep and still exists, differentiation in sales, and how to set the next salesperson up for failure.
When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A car salesman.
Said no one ever.
Hi, I'm Patrick Hennessy.
And I'm Courtney Hennessy.
Welcome to the Be Less Typical in Car Sales podcast, a real-life account of the car business that breaks the perception of what it's like to be a car sales professional. During the show, we're going to take you into the lives and minds of those who have found success. So, ignite your passion and get ready to learn effective hacks to streamline your success and boost your income.
So, is that your pitch? It's pretty good. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, and I know this is bad, but the first thing I do is reach for my phone, which at times is more difficult than it sounds because I can't see anything without my glasses. But once I find it, and again, I hate to admit this, but the first thing I do is check social media. I have a list of justifications for this, but I won't get into all of that right now. However, on one particular morning, not too long ago, as I'm checking my news feeds on social media at 5 a.m., I came across a video of Kenny Landrum on the Toyota of Bowling Green Facebook page. He's literally cruising the dealer lot in a golf cart with a coworker.
Good morning, it's Kenny Landrum and Justin Taylor,
Good morning, everybody.
And we're walking our lot. Actually, are we walking the lot?
We're riding a lot.
We're riding the lot.
Because we're
checking
giving
out.
these cars away at 0%.
Look at those Camrys over there.
Look at that.
Look at Camrys lined up here. Did you say there were 0%, Justin?
0%, no interest for 5 years. Can you believe it?
Do you get money back as
You
well?
get money back. We have actually got more money back this morning.
Really?
It's crazy.
Crazy how much money
Zero
Toyota.
Clearly, they are having a ton of fun, but it's more than just fun. This is a strategy. Kenny and Justin are showcasing their individual personalities, all while giving prospective customers a peek at cars on their dealership's lot. They're highlighting incentives and offers. Essentially, they're giving viewers a reason to consider them and Toyota of Bowling Green for their next car purchase. Just watching this kind of makes me want to go down and take a spin on the golf cart with these two. They seem like people I would want to be friends with.
What's ironic about this is that when Kenny first tried to get a job in car sales, he wasn't a shoo-in.
So I asked for an application. They gave it to me. I filled it out, completed it, gave it to them, and they said, well, you've never sold anything before. And I said, well, heck yeah, I have. I sold myself to my wife in every single job I've worked at before. So, yes, I have.
Today, Kenny Landrum is a mentor to many in the car business, whether he realizes it or not. He's built a business and online brand by being himself. So who is Kenny Landrum? Laura Madison describes him as kind.
You know, it's kind of an honor to be thought of that way, but really I'm just trying to do a good job at what I do, learn from other people because, that have gone before me. And if there's any kind of help or advice or assistance I can, put out there, I'm more than willing to give it.
If Laura Madison is Alice in Wonderland, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out episode 10. Kenny Landrum is Baloo from The Jungle Book. Kenny looks out for his customers by teaching them what to look for and what to ask. Similar how Baloo takes Mowgli under his wing. And another similarity to Baloo, and I swear I'll stop with the Disney analogies after this, is that Kenny walks side by side with his customers through the purchase process, just like Baloo accompanies Mowgli through the forest.
Kenny's like a co-pilot or your right-hand man. He's helping customers navigate decisions of what to buy and who to buy from. But when Kenny was a little boy, he wanted to own a restaurant, a career that he pursued for a while.
Through a variety of moves, ended up working for Wolfgang Puck and moved to Florida, Walt Disney World, to help open a Wolfgang Puck cafe.
The restaurant business is tough, and Kenny gave it a good go. He had a dream and he pursued it. However, once he made it to where he thought he wanted to be, it wasn't the right fit, so he made a decision to pivot.
And moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky from Madison, Tennessee, and decided I wanted to earn what I was worth.
This happens all the time. A According to a recent study, only 27% of college grads have a job related to their major. So this pivot is not uncommon. I can relate because this happened to me. I wanted to be a high school teacher, but when I became a high school teacher, I wasn't happy.
So how do you pivot? And where do you pivot to when you're not satisfied with your current profession? Kenny chooses the car business, and he focuses in on a Toyota dealership because his first car was a Tercel.
Well, I drove a Toyota. It was the only manufacturer that would give me a loan for a vehicle. So my first vehicle was a Toyota Tercel, little 2-door, 5-speed that I didn't even know how to drive when I purchased it off the lot.
This experience has bred a fierce brand loyalty in Kenny that runs deep. I mean, he bought a vehicle he didn't even know how to drive. So if he's focused on getting into the car business, there's no better place for him than a Toyota dealership, a brand that he is confident in and that he trusts.
Despite brand loyalty, Kenny is nervous and a little intimidated walking into the dealership for the first time.
What transpired is I ended up going to the local Toyota dealership and, I was really intimidated. So I parked my Toyota Tercel around in the service department. I had my backpack on. It was a green backpack. Walked in through service and walked into the showroom and kind of felt out the showroom before, I asked for an application or whatever because I was intimidated.
Intimidating or not, Kenny points out a good nugget of advice here. Before submitting an application or applying for a job, if possible, spend a little bit of time observing the place. Walk around and listen to transpiring conversations. Can you see yourself working there? If the answer is yes, take the next steps to apply or submit a resume.
Kenny can see himself working at Toyota of Bowling Green, so he asks for an application. He fills it out and turns it in. And this is when he's told, "You haven't sold anything before." Kenny responds that he has. He sold his wife and all of the other companies that he's worked for previously. But the managers tell him, "Thanks for applying, but you don't have any experience and we don't have any openings."
So it's kind of funny. I started coming back every single week. It could have been every couple days. I would call, whatever it was. It showed them that I had the tenacity to want to get a job there. And they kept telling me no.
Instead of being discouraged, Kenny keeps on keeping on. He follows up relentlessly and doesn't give up.
And they kept telling me, no, we're about to hire this advertising guy who sold Yellow Page advertising. See, he has experience and, we're going to see how that works out. So appreciate you coming in. But right now we're going to hire someone else. Great. No problem. I still kept coming back.
After being told no over and over again, I had to ask, did you consider applying at other dealerships?
No, I didn't. I was sold on Toyota because I owned a Toyota, and that's why I kept going back to that dealership.
I think that's a common theme for a lot of people is, find a product that you have some inherent passion about, and that's helpful down the road. I don't know that people recognize that up front, but it's always a huge thing if you believe in what you're selling,
Absolutely, and I believed in that car. It took me all through college and took me to a variety of different places from California to Texas to Florida. Great car, had great gas mileage, and I totally loved that car.
Yeah, and that's a story you can share with your customers,
Absolutely.
Eventually, Kenny gets noticed, and he finally gets his shot.
I guess you'd say managing partner or what have you. Said, hey, interview this guy, give him a chance. And that's how I got started. They were starting a new program. They were hiring a trainer, and it was basically you had to pay some money to go through this training. And if you made it through this training and lasted on the floor 90 days, they would give you your investment back.
So 5 months after turning in an application, he gets a shot, finally. But it comes with a price. Essentially, Kenny pays to get hired. He buys into the training program, which is not cheap. It's $1,000. He's banking on the fact that he'll make it the 90 days and earn his investment back.
Was it a good investment? Was this hiring ploy effective?
Well, it was pretty effective for me. 3 of us got hired out of the class, and I'm the only one still there.
So he gets hired, which was a huge success. And everyone lived happily ever after, right?
Not exactly. There's a learning curve when you start any new position.
Right. Yeah. When I started, I was just told to go out and talk with people, make friends, kiss babies, and, build some common ground. And quite frankly, I became the most liked poor salesperson on the floor because I wasn't closing any deals. Everybody liked me, but I couldn't take it to the next step.
Kenny learned the steps of the sale and the basics in the training that he paid for. But the sales process is a journey that you need to take your customers through. My dad's been in the business forever, and he used to share with me back when I was, 21 years old getting in. He said that you're either are you telling or are you selling? And I didn't really understand what that was until I, learned a little bit about process and how a purchase cycle is a psychological journey for somebody, and you have to kind of lead down that path. So
how do you learn to transition from telling to selling?
Well, I went to my boss and I said, I like what I do. I'm making friends, but I'm not making any money. Can you help me? And he said, do exactly what I tell you to do. Say exactly what I tell you to say once you have them inside, and things will go better for you. So I started making that transition from becoming a friend, building that rapport. And I took that once we did find the car that worked for them, brought them inside, and I began to learn the other part of the business from those that would come in and TO my deals.
Time out. One quick note. We've created a free giveaway especially for this episode. Go to belesstypical.com/control and opt in. We will send you a PDF with 5 how-tos to take you from telling to selling. These how-tos work. I just used them on the showroom floor this week. So go to belesstypical.com/control and opt in. It's easy. Now back to the show.
Kenny is struggling a little bit. He knows the road to the sale, but can't seem to close deals. So he taps into his general manager and begins to play a little bit of Simon Says.
And it was my job, if I wanted to be good at what I did, was to listen to those who came before me. So I did. I just listened to what my general sales manager told me. If he said, say this, I said that. And, I didn't have a lot of my deals TO'd. However, when I did have my deals TO'd, I went in there and I shut up and I listened to what interaction was transpiring. And then I took those things and I would write them down. And when those same situations would come up, I would use those word tracks. And as I got better, I would use those different word tracks in different ways because every situation is totally different.
Not only does he observe and listen, he writes down what he's hearing. Now, he's probably not doing this at the time of the TO, which, by the way, for those of you not familiar with the car sales lingo yet, a TO is a turnover. It's when a salesperson brings in another person, in this case a sales manager, to help move the deal to the next stage of the purchase process. Kenny doesn't stop there, though. He also creates a binder.
And I created an objection binder. So when someone said price is too high, I had 20 different responses for the price is too high. And, the answer is never really no until the customer says no 5 or 6 times. And then it still may not be no.
So he creates for himself a resource guide that he can refer to when handling objections.
Now, this isn't to say that you're going to make a binder and when the customer says no, politely ask them to hold on for a moment while you whip out your handy-dandy objection binder to find the right close and then lay it on them. What this means is that you create for yourself a resource that will help you study for those moments when someone says no.
But so that's kind of how I went about it. Came up with an objection binder, and I would run through that objection binder every single day. I would come in early, and I would go to the restroom, and I would stand in front of the mirror, and I would look at myself in the mirror, talk to myself in the mirror, look at what my body language was like, and see what the customer was seeing. And I learned that from another trainer that the dealership did bring in twice, as a matter of fact. We went to his training. It was all about, tonality, body language, and things of that nature. So think like a customer. And with what you talked about and what you shared with the customer, it was less you talking and more active listening to the customer and restating what the customer says and making sure that you understand what they're saying and helping them reach their end in mind.
Okay, so there are some really good golden nuggets of advice here. Make a binder with common closes and objection handling techniques. Practice handling objections in front of a mirror. Use a previous customer interaction that you've had to set the stage. Put yourself in their shoes. This is about what the presentation looks like from where they're sitting. Note your body language and tonality of your voice.
This reminds me so much of how Brian Armstrong from episode number 3 learned his phone scripts. If you remember, he practiced them while sitting back to back with his wife, who critiqued him. He practiced until the word tracks became more him than script. And this is exactly how Kenny tackles objection handling. He practices, because if you don't practice, it's not going to sound like you. It's going to sound like a script, and no customer wants a script used on them. At least, not one that they can tell is a script.
Exactly. Once you figure out how to navigate from telling to selling, things get easier. Kenny masters this. And the next thing he tackles is differentiation. What exactly does that mean? He tells me that he differentiates himself and sets the next salesperson up for failure.
Yeah. See, when I was on the floor every day and I was waiting on traffic on the lot, what is going to set me apart from that salesperson up the road? So when someone comes in and you're building rapport and you're talking to them about a vehicle, finding out their hot buttons, wants and needs, things of that nature, putting them on the right vehicle, what have you, and they choose not to buy, well, guess what? That's okay, Mr. Customer. But let me share with you some things that I would look for when you go down the road. See, one of the things that I provide for you here when you come and you look at a pre-owned vehicle is, Mr. Customer, I can give you a detailed list of everything that we've done to this car: brakes, belts, hoses, tires. And this is the investment that we put in this car to make sure that when you leave, Mr. Customer, that you're not coming back in 30, 45 days saying, oh my goodness, I'm having a problem with my brakes. I'm having a problem with my belts and hoses, or this is not right. Well, we price our cars according to the value that we put in them. And let me encourage you, when you go up the road, to ask that next salesperson what they've done to make sure that that vehicle that you're looking for or that you're looking at is right for you. And you're not going to have to come back 30 or 45 days later and say, man, I've got a problem with this, and now I've got to invest another $500, $600, $700 in this vehicle to make it right. Well, price, value, we price our cars accordingly, and we make sure that we build the value in those cars. And I can share with you, Mr. Customer, what we've done. Quite frankly, that salesperson up the road is already at a disadvantage because they're not going to know what they've done to that vehicle in service. And they're not going to be able to attach a value to that either because they don't even know what they did to it in service. So that's one of the ways of setting the next salesperson up for success or for failure, and building value in you as a salesperson, because that customer perhaps might look at that and say, wow, you're more of a professional than anybody I've dealt with up and down the road, because they don't know that information. And that seems like some pretty important information to know.
Kenny doesn't stop there. He continues to remind the customer about the extras that he can provide, increasing the value of doing business with him.
By the way, I provide brand new loaner vehicles. When you spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a vehicle at this dealership, when you use our service department, yes, that's right. I'll give you a brand new car when you come in for service. Let me encourage you to ask that next salesperson down the street, will they give you a brand new loaner vehicle when you come in for service? Quite frankly, I'd ask them how long they've been there. I've been here since 1999. I did leave for a short time, but I've been here a total of 10 years. And how long you've been at a dealership, can place an important role in the kind of value that you're able to provide to me as a customer. So, I encourage you to ask that question as well. And I just kind of go down that line of helping the customer to think about some additional questions to ask that salesperson.
He also encourages customers to look at dealership and salesperson reviews before purchasing, and he coaches customers to ask about reviews. Then, to hit the ball all the way out of the park, he pulls up his business Facebook page, Kinney at Toyota of Bowling Green, and shows the prospective customer previous customer reviews.
And, hey, even ask them about online reviews. What have their customers said about them, that have purchased vehicles from them at that dealership. So, and here's my Facebook page, by the way. It's a business page, and there's some reviews on there that you can take a look at, from real people just like you. Ask that other salesperson what they might have out there as social proof, as third-party proof. You've done your research, right, on this Nissan Altima or this Toyota Camry to see what Consumer Reports and J.D. Power says about it, right? Well, yeah, I have. Well, I encourage you to do that same research on your salesperson.
This back and forth conversation that Kinney has with customers, this education process, if you will, is just one of the reasons that he's so successful at what he does.
You're being transparent about everything that you do and your dealership does, and you're just knowledgeable enough about it to be able to share it, and that will inevitably create doubt when they get to the next place that salesperson hasn't done their homework, nor do they have the expertise to balance out everything that you've got on the backside, the Facebook and all that good stuff. So
reviews are such an easy way to showcase the type of service that you can provide. And what's great about them is that you don't have to be selling 20 or 30 cars a month to ask for a review.
You can start getting those reviews right away from happy customers that, you take care of, whether you're selling 5, 6 a month or 16 a month. So, that's available to you.
Yeah, and
it's free.
And it's free, exactly. And I think that the biggest hole that we've found is that people just don't ask for whatever reason, And reviews are evergreen. They are a time capsule of the experience and service you provide to your customers.
Kinney has shared some valuable nuggets of advice, and he has so much more to share, which is why we broke this episode into 2 parts. To learn additional advanced strategies that have helped Kinney differentiate himself, be sure to download episode number 12 next week. It's a down and dirty of how Kinney has leveraged social media and his personal website to share his value proposition and differentiate himself.
It takes some time to master the sales process and refine your objection handling techniques. Be patient. Spend your downtime wisely. Practice your word tracks, learn your product knowledge, and leverage good customer interactions by asking for reviews at the end of the sale.
I don't believe the grass is greener on the other side. I believe in planting your roots and working within the system that's where you've decided to call home. And I promise you, I haven't agreed with everything that has come down the turnpike, but we're in sales. So, we know how to work with different situations and make the best out of those situations. And just kind of move forward from there. Let's finish strong, right?
To finish strong, you need to make a decision and take action. Go to belesstypical.com/control and opt in for your free PDF with 4 how-tos to take you from telling to selling.
A special thank you to Kinney Landrum of Toyota of Bowling Green for being a guest on the show. We will link to his website and social media profiles in the show notes. Check him out. You'll see the proof is in the pudding. Go to belesstypical.com/011.
Our theme song is by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. All episode editing and mixing is done by us, a couple of amateurs learning as we go.
2 items before we sign off. Number 1, please take a moment to share our show with your friends, family, and coworkers. Sharing is caring, and we appreciate your support. Number 2, if you or anyone you know are conducting car sales in a less typical way, please reach out to us. We know you want to. We want to hear your story, and there's a chance you could be featured on an upcoming show. Send me an email so we can connect. My email address is Courtney@belesstypical.com.